Today, I'm going to teach you how to make homemade chicken bone broth. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to Heartway Farms. My name is Annie. If you're new here, we're so glad you're here. Make sure you hit subscribe if you want to learn about all things canning and cooking and homestead life, all of the things, homeschooling. So stick around. We would love to have you as a part of the family. But today we are talking about chicken bone broth. If you haven't been following along, we processed out our meat birds that we raised here on the farm not that long ago. And after that, I've cooked up, shredded up, and canned up all of those chickens, all of the ones I wanted to can up and not have in the freezer, and put them in jars so we could put that in our root cellar for our stockpile, for our just pantry, easy go-to meals. If you want to check that out, make sure we'll link it in the description, and we'll also link it here, and check out that video after you're done with this one. But today we are talking about making bone broth, and these things are easy, but they do require steps. And so one of my favorite things to do is just to get some of this stuff started and then go do the other things that take priority. Like today we have a lot of work to do outside, but I can get this started in the morning, set it and forget it, and then come back tomorrow and start my canning process to have this on the shelf. To be honest, we did not can up any of our homegrown chicken or bone broth last year because we had done so much in the previous 2 years that I'm still eating and working off of those items. So now the time has come where we need to reboost our pantry and have these items ready to go when we need them. And they're so much better than store-bought. Even if you don't have a homestead, even if you don't have a farm, you live in an apartment, but let's say you go to the local grocery store or you find a local farmer and you find chicken on sale, you can absolutely do this, and it's worth it, and it's so nutritious, so good and valuable. You're gonna wanna try it at home. In here are all of my bones and skin that I saved from when we processed our chickens. Just a quick rundown. I take the raw whole chicken, I put it in my crock pots. I have 2 of my own crock pots, then I borrow my mother-in-law's crock pot, and I just get them all going at once. I might even throw some on the stove just to get it all done at once. Because this is full of bones and skin and extra pieces of chicken from 20 chickens, and it's super compressed in there, so there is a lot of goodness in here. So I'm going to make a highly concentrated broth today, because usually if we eat one whole chicken, or my family, because we're a family of 8, we usually eat 2 at a time. I'll put all of those bones and stuff from 2 chickens in one crock pot and make stock after we consume that for a meal. And I will continue to do that through the year. This isn't the only time that I'm going to be making broth. But so on the table I've got my crock pots, my bones and scraps, a little bit of white vinegar, and my Redmond real salt. And that's all you need to get this process started. You can have as much fun with doing this as you want. If you want to add in onions to your broth, if you want to add in garlic, or if you want to add in carrots or whatever, it depends whatever you want to do. But I keep mine super simple so that it can be used in any recipe, and I doctor it up later. So if we're making chicken noodle soup, I'll add my onions, my carrots, my celery and stuff then later. I just like to keep this basic so that I can use it for anything. It's the same approach that we use for our tomatoes. I take our tomatoes and turn it completely into just tomato sauce so that I can use it for whatever I want. I don't season it crazy. I don't do anything wild. We just keep it very basic so that we can turn it into whatever we want later. So today's portion of this video is going to be very straightforward and simple because I'm just preparing things, but literally then I'm not going to touch these. I'm going to put them off in the corner, out of the way, off the table. I'm not going to touch these for 24 hours plus. I have made our bone broth in the pressure cooker. It's not my favorite. I still like the old school crock pots or stovetop, doing it low and slow for a long period of time. I have even cooked my broth for up to 3 days just to make it more nutrient rich, where the bones are just like practically dissolving in there, right? Breaking apart and shredding up. It's just my preference. It's totally cool if you're in a hurry and you want to make broth to make it in the Instapot. That's fine. You have it within an hour or 2. But I like the flavor, the consistency, and the nutritional value of doing it this way. So it's super simple. We're just gonna get our crock pots ready to go. They're all cleaned up anyway. Open these up. And I love this crock pot. It's like I don't know if it's technically a double size. I'll have to look at how many quarts this is, but I'll try to link this below too. But I love this extra big crock pot. If you are a large family, or if you're like a grandma cooking for the whole family, which is gonna be me someday, I'm gonna need 2 of these, and it's funny, as more people start kind of, hanging around our family, as the girls have gotten older, it's like I need to now start tripling recipes, not just doubling them anymore. So anyway, I love this crock pot. It's huge and I love it. So now I'm just gonna I'm eyeballing because I have these, this whole bin full of bones and stuff. So I'm just gonna guess about what would be, you know, 2 or 3 chickens worth. And this is gonna make such delicious, because there's chicken scraps in here. It's gonna add such good flavor and nutritional value here. So I'm gonna fill these up. Time out, friends. Did you know that I have created some beautiful printable resources that will help you build out a meal plan for an entire year? Yes, I know it sounds crazy, but it works if you just give it a shot. So make sure you check out our free printables, our beautiful cookbooks that are digital and printable, and all the other fun resources we have available. Check it out. So I just put a few handfuls in each pot. I'm not filling them all the way up. And now I'm gonna go ahead and put in a splash of vinegar. I don't measure. It's probably 2 tablespoons or 2 or 3. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect the flavor. What you're doing is just the vinegar helps draw out the nutrition in the broth and pull it out of the bones and just have it go through the whole broth. It's so good. Okay, and then I'm gonna take our Redmond real salt and add, I think, around 2 teaspoons. We don't like our broth to be salty. I like to do that later, but this also is full of good minerals and nutrition, and it helps draw as well. So I like having these in there for a low and slow cook. So what did I say? 2 teaspoons-ish in each one. Maybe I'll do 3 in the big one. You can't go wrong. Just don't make it too salty. You can always add salt later. As you can see, I didn't even come close to using up all of my goodies here, the bones and the fat and the skin. I'm going to keep doing this until I'm through it all. I might throw a big stock pot on the stovetop too and just let that go all day and all night. There's flexibility. So we're gonna be busy, so it's a perfect day to do this. So I'm gonna take each one of these over to the sink, fill them up as full as I can to safely do it, and then lid them and get them going. All right, there we go. We have them all full. I'm gonna clear a spot behind Marie, who's behind the camera, and put it on the floor out of the way so that we have access to our whole house. My kitchen's small. If you can relate, you understand you're always trying to find places to cook and bake stuff for long periods of time. And so I'm gonna go ahead and put these on low and slow for at least 24 hours, if not longer. And then I will check back with you and share with you the next step of the process. All right, it is day 2 of making our chicken bone broth. I'm a little tired of smelling chicken in my house, and I think everyone else can relate because we've done all the meat processing and all of the broth processing, but I'm gonna be so grateful when we can walk down to the root cellar and just grab these things off of our shelf. So I'm really excited. It's worth it. There could be worse things to smell when you wake up in the morning other than chicken broth. But we are down, I don't know that this has happened in years. We are down to the last 2 quarts of our homemade chicken stock, our bone broth. And so Marie said to me the other day, because she's my soup maker, she's also behind the camera, but she loves soup, she loves all those hot, delicious homemade meals, and she's usually in charge of making soup, and she's like, Mom, like, you need to get me some broth. And so the time came, you know, where we needed to catch up on all of this. So it's exciting to have it at our fingertips when we need it. Today I'm going to be canning up. My first round I'm going to do quarts because I already explained, if you haven't watched our how to can chicken video, check that out first of all, but I explained why I only did pints this year. But when it comes to chicken stock, chicken broth, bone broth, we absolutely use the majority of quarts, because if you're making soup, I need 2 of these. If you're making a pasta recipe, I usually use 1 of these. So anyway, usually always quarts. There's only a handful of times where we need pints, and so I am gonna can a few of those just because I'm trying to cut down on waste the best that I can, and not having to like think of other ways to use stuff. We can just have exactly what we need when we open it up. So I have had 3 crock pots and a stock pot going for, I don't know, over 24 hours. We started this yesterday. I told you yesterday that sometimes I let it go for up to 3 days if I want to, if I have time or if I'm busy. It just depends on the schedule. So today I have time to process these jars out, and so I needed to only process in the crock pot for like 24 hours. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a couple things. I borrowed my mother-in-law's nice big beautiful pot that has a pouring spout. I need a strainer, a fine strainer, because I don't want a lot of particles in my bowl. And then I'm gonna go over to the sink. We're going to strain out all of our broth, and then we are gonna go ahead and put our broth into our jars. We are using our ForJars lids today, and I'm reusing old rings. And then I'm also using my ForJars stovetop pressure canner to do all of this today. I love this thing. I'm just saying, check it out in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. So yeah, let's head into the kitchen. We're gonna strain this out and get this process going. So this is not even all of our chicken broth. This is the broth from one crock pot and my stock pot. So this is gonna be several rounds, and I'm hoping to get it all done today. We'll just see how far we get. But I'm gonna use my Pyrex. This is too full to pour. Eventually I'll be able to pour from it, but I'm gonna use my Pyrex to fill up my quart jars. So. All right, so this is probably all I can fit in round one of my pressure canner that's gonna go on the stovetop. So now I'm gonna go ahead and fill up at least 9 pints, because that will be my second round in the pressure canner. So I'm gonna get those filled up so that I can strain off the rest of my broth and have all my jars ready to go and go in the canner as soon as, you know, it's available for the next round. So. Like I said, I still need to do a lot of straining and do this whole process again, but for right now, I'm just to get the canner going before I move on to that other stuff. I'm gonna take a paper towel and some white vinegar, especially with meat and broth and stuff that like has that greasy, fatty texture. I like to wipe off the rim here real good with vinegar before I place the new canning lids on top. It just, in my opinion, and in a lot of old school opinions, it helps bring a better seal. So we're gonna do that. And if this is your first time canning or you're learning the process, once you have the lids on there, and these are clean, ready to go lids, and then reused rings, because I like to reuse these unless they get really messed up. But you're gonna go ahead and put your ring on, and what you're gonna do is tighten it. It's called finger tight. So I'm not gonna really crank on that. That can create a couple issues, too much pressure in your can, and you can have little explosions, or it can crack the jar, but it also can create a false seal sometimes. So just like I put the ring on and I just do it like with my fingers. I'm not like pushing real hard. You might even notice that the rings are loose when you take them out of the canner. That's okay, like after they've processed, because the bubbles just makes it loosen up and stuff. Those are all things that are okay and normal. So, all right, I'm gonna get these rings on, and then we're gonna move into the kitchen, and I'll talk you through the process with the stovetop pressure canner. Okay, we've moved into the kitchen and I'm gonna talk you through a stovetop pressure canner. They're all very similar, you just need to know how to use them. This helps you track the pressure. These are your different, your regulator and your different weights that you're gonna use, and I'll talk you through what to do for chicken broth, bone broth. And if you wanna learn how to process meat, we have videos on that. We can link some of those below, your own chicken, all those different things, because everything is different and it seems overwhelming until you learn the process, then it's not so bad. So today, what we're gonna start with, I'm gonna take this off, and when you're pressure canning, you're gonna want a trivet in the bottom, and the ForJars canner comes with 2 of these. So I have a trivet in the bottom, and I'm gonna go ahead and go over to the sink and fill this with 2 to 3 inches of water and then come back. So we've got our water in the bottom, the trivet in the bottom, and I'm gonna go get my quarts and fill this up. All right, so I was able to fit 8 quarts, wide mouth quarts. Usually I do small mouth with the stock, but it's what I had available and what jars I had and what lids I had. So we've got this filled up. I'm gonna go ahead and lid it. Make sure it's sealed up. And when you're pressure canning, so this is the point where you're gonna go ahead and turn on your stovetop on high, and it's gonna take a little while for that heat to build up. And we are not putting on any of our regulator or our weights or anything like that yet. You're gonna see it, eventually you're gonna hear it start bubbling, you're gonna see steam coming out of here and steam coming out of here. When we see consistent streams of steam, I'm gonna set a timer for 10 minutes. I wanna see that steam going consistently for that 10 minutes. Once that happens, for chicken stock, I'm gonna use 10 pounds of pressure. So that means I'm gonna use this piece and 1 ring. That's 10 pounds of pressure. When I was doing my chicken yesterday, I used this other ring that's 15 pounds of pressure. And I'm going to place this on here. I'm just showing you for example later. And then we're gonna wait to watch it dance. I will cover that when we get to it. I know that's all, if you're new, that seems a little weird, but so step 1, turn on your heat, start watching for steam. I mean, it's gonna probably be at least 20 minutes before I see that. So I'm gonna go do a couple other things, continue to process up my broth, and as soon as I get this consistent steam, I'll come back to you, but we'll set that 10-minute timer before we add our weight, and then we'll watch our pressure go up. So I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, our first round of processing in the pressure canner is done. We let this come, you saw all this, but we let it come up to pressure. We had consistent stream of steam for at least 10 minutes. We put on our 10 pounds of weight on the back, let it come all the way back up to pressure again, and then start, our regulator was dancing, and now I turned off everything, have let it decompress on its own, depressurize, because I don't want to open this and have it explode on me because it would be a hot mess. So we shut it off, we watched the pressure come down to 0, I removed the weights, and now everything's quiet and still and ready to go, so now I can open the lid. I'm still gonna open it away from me. You wanna use wisdom and use caution. I'm gonna turn this upside down and set it over here. And these are going to be extremely hot still. If you wanna let them sit for longer, you can, but I wanna do a second round. So I'm gonna remove these and put them over here and let them finish up. But as you can see, can you see that, Marie? They're still bubbling. It's so hot, it's still doing its thing. And so I'm gonna set these, I'm not gonna turn them sideways or move them around too much. I'm gonna set them all over here very carefully and let them come to room temperature on their own. But I wanna get my second batch of broth in the stovetop canner going, so I'm kind of expediting the process. All right, so our bone broth is all done, and then I took the rings off of each jar. This is the good routine process that I do every time I can. So we canned it up, we let it sit for 24 hours, completely seal and be done. I removed the rings, I washed the jar, and here we are. And everything is good to go, everything's sealed. I only had one jar not seal, which is totally normal, totally to be expected. It could be user error, a lot of different things. So I had great success with my lids. Everything's sealed. I'm gonna label these and put them down in the root cellar so we can have them available anytime we want to make our soups, our chilies, our stews, cook with, whatever we need. I love having this on hand and stocked up in the house and ready to go for whenever we need it. If you wanna learn more about canning, make sure you check out the description below with all sorts of recipe videos, and make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our future content. We appreciate y'all, and we'll see you in the next video.